Okay, so the word we're going to do is story. This is word 2. So if you're here and you're new, don't go to 2, go to number 1. Okay, so let's deckhand the word. You know the word because you've already got it stored in your orthographic lexicon and your word and your brain word bank. So you look at this and you know straight away it's the word story. You don't have to think about it. You can read it straight away. You can write it straight away. You don't have to think about it at all. You're using orthographic mapping. But the children you're teaching, you're making sure that you are not blinded by the letters, that you don't face orthographic interference. So how would you map it? So we've got story, story. So the graphemes, the S represents the T represents the T, the O represents the O, the R represents the the Y represents the E. E. Story. If you faced orthographic interference, you're likely to have wanted to put those two together because the OR is a common representation for the OR sound. There's the phonetic symbol. So just the same as that's a common one. That's why we teach these in our phonics program. However, you need to make sure that you are not confused, you're not blinded by the letters, and that you don't try and put those two together. Otherwise, you're going to do a disservice to the children that you work with because they need to be mapping words because they don't have that word stored. If that changed into stored, then that would be the grapheme for the OR sound, wouldn't it? But here it's story. Now, if you aren't sure, you would check the phonetic symbols. So here, that's the phonetic symbol for phonetic symbol. That's the phonetic symbol for t. That's the phonetic symbol for or. That's the phonetic symbol for That's the phonetic symbol for E. Actually, it should. Well, anyway, it looks like that. E. Story. So you've got or E. Story. So if you just looked at the sounds, just thought about the sounds, you'd be fine. And actually your children who aren't faced with that orthographic interference because they haven't got that word stored in their, they can't see it in their brain, they haven't got it stored. So to them, that's straightforward. Story. So if you then give them the word and say, now map it, they'd go, okay, or E story. So they would be fine. So don't mess it up for them. So once you've checked it with the phonetic symbols, and that's what we talked about yesterday, or E. I had to put letters that were likely letters that you would think, oh, that's how you pronounce it. Or E story. But how nice when we can use the phonetic symbols instead of that, because they just map with the sound, they just represent the sounds or the speech sound monsters. So with the children, you'd say, what's new for you? They might know that as a sound picture for S. They might know that as a picture for T. They might know that as a picture for They might know that as a picture for E. They might not have looked at the O as the representation for OR. And then we have a look at the example word. Ah, look. And it's the exact word story. Or use it on their mat. And if you're working at home, just I go round and I'll look at their mat and say, oh, what was that one that you discovered? Like, oh, I think we did this one yesterday, actually. Like, repeat. So repeat, the E in repeat mapped with the ear sound. So I've circled it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use this mat and I'm going to store what is probably new for you as a skilled reader, because you're not thinking about it. You're not... if you're a skilled reader, you don't have to map words explicitly. So I'm going to do this. So that was word 2, story, duck hands, or E story, phonetic symbols, or E story. And here's the word in speech sound monsters. story. That was day 2. See you tomorrow.